Let me tell you something that nobody tells you growing up. Aging is not just about getting older. It's about how fast your body breaks down, how heavy your mind becomes, and how disconnected your spirit gets. Time passes for everyone, but aging is negotiable. Today, I'm going to show you how to slow it down physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually by using practices that most people were never taught. I am aging with intention, not by accident. I respect my body, protect my mind, and renew my spirit. I choose habits that build strength, clarity, and longevity. I am becoming more alive with every year. Here's what aging really is. Aging is not just wrinkles and gray hair. Aging is accumulated damage without enough repair. Most people age fast because they live like this: stressed, underslept, overstimulated, undermoved, emotionally overloaded, and spiritually disconnected. People will respond to that and say things like, oh, well, that's just getting older. No, that's getting neglected. That's having neglection. Because your body is constantly rebuilding itself, constantly, but only if you can give it the conditions to do so. Now, we need to just call this out early. We need to think about and focus on how people age themselves and the different ways that people age themselves. So one way that people age themselves is chronic stress. Stress, it keeps your body in survival mode. Like you're constantly in a fight or flight type of mode. And when that survival mode happens, it prioritizes staying alive. That's what surviving is. It's prioritizing staying alive. And that is not staying faithful to being youthful. Another thing that affects us is having poor sleep. Sleep is important. You need to rest. Sleep is where the repair actually happens. You grow in your sleep. Your body is resting and it's thanking you, like, thank you for allowing me to rest because I'm tired. I'm real tired. Give your body a chance to rest. And so when you're having those nights or those consecutive weeks and days and months where you can't sleep, then that's going to equal no recovery. And if you can't recover, then that's going to accelerate that aging process. That's why it's important to make sure that you're able to sleep. Another thing that's going to allow you to age much quicker is if you're sitting too much. Everyone's working from home. I get it. But that is not an excuse to just stay sitting down and not getting movement. Now, muscle loss, this is one of the most biggest predictors when it comes to aging, because when you have no strength, that means you have no resilience. And the next thing that ages us fast is ultra processed foods. So think about it like this. Food that isn't recognized by nature, it accelerates inflammation. Another thing that happens is that we have emotional suppression. That will allow us to age so much faster, that emotional suppression. And having unprocessed emotions, this is going to age the nervous system much faster than anything else out there. Much faster. And another thing that is going to enable us to age much faster is having a lack of purpose. People who are disconnected from meaning, they age faster mentally and physically. Aging speeds up when repair loses to damage. We should always want our bodies to be in a state of having damage, but also healing. Now, moving on from that, the next thing that we need to make sure that we have is a body that ages slows down. You want to have a body that you want to age well. So the goal is simple. Stay strong, stay hydrated, and stay mobile. Stay oxygenated, stay mobile, stretch, flex, do all that. And the things that actually matter in this process is strength training. Walking almost every single day, getting up, walking, movement. Do something. You gotta stay active, and you gotta stay mobile for your hips and for your spine and your ankles. That's why stretching is important. Watch a video on YouTube that can teach you how to properly stretch. It's what I'm doing. Shoot, maybe we can do it together sometime. Let's stretch our bodies out. Let's make sure that we're staying mobile, okay? Now, another thing that we can make sure that we're doing is that we balance work. We need to make sure that we balance work. And this is huge as you grow and get older up in this life. And you don't need to do anything that's extreme. You don't need extreme workouts. You need consistent movement. Consistent movement. So if you're someone out there who can get up from the floor easily, carry groceries without straining, or, walking without pain, or, you breathe without tension, then you're aging well. You're aging well. And that's all part of the process. You're aging well. So keep it up if you can do all of these things, and don't take the moment for granted. Don't think just because you're young or that you may be older and your body's feeling well. Make sure you keep that up and don't take it for granted. Don't disrespect yourself, okay? Constantly stay in a position where you can prevent any sickness, any weakness, anything from happening. Always stay in preparation, You never know what's going to happen. Always stay prepared. And so the next thing that we need to make sure that we're doing is that we're eating for longevity and not extremes, okay? And what I mean by that is that longevity diets, they are boring for a reason, but they work. They work. And you have to think about whole foods, vegetables, healthy fats, minimizing sugar intake. And, the goal is to stable your blood sugar, plus low inflammation, plus muscle preservation. And when you do that, that's going to add to your longevity on this earth. And so we need to follow one simple rule. Just one simple rule, one simple rule, one simple rule. One, eat food that would rot. If it doesn't rot, it's probably aging you. I want to tell y'all about some practices that most people don't use, but if you use these bad boys, oh my, this is going to aid to you living longer and aging prosperously, and feeling young constantly and looking that way. So here's some practices that you should try. Tai Chi and Qigong, these are two practices that are extremely beneficial to making sure that you're staying young and that you're getting all the exercise and the movement and everything that's needed in order to keep that youthful feeling going. When you do Tai Chi or Qigong, this is going to help you focus on slow movement. It's going to help you focus on your breath control. And this overall is going to aid your nervous system and create some regulation. It's going to create that balance, and it's going to add to your longevity. So that's the benefits of going through Qigong or Tai Chi. Try it out. Look at their culture. Look at how long they live, the people who study this. It's out there, and so Tai Chi and Qigong is something that I definitely implore into you. I'm actually reading a book right now. It's a complete healing art, and it's talking about Reiki, which is basically another form of, moving energy. It's just a different type. It's just, it's a different practice, but it's the same mechanics in a sense. But yeah, do it. I'm telling you, it's once you learn how to, the thing is, everyone can, what? I'm getting off track. Let me get back on track because this is a whole nother video I can go into. But anywho, everyone has access to Qigong and the energy that comes along with it. You just have to practice it. You just have to practice it. And I promise you, if you want to ever do it sometime, we can do it. I can unlock it for you. But anywho, and another thing we need to make sure that we're doing is taking care of our nervous system. We need to make sure that we're taking care of our nervous system. And the reason why this is important is that when we have a calm nervous system, this is going to age us much slower. When you're slow breathing, you're practicing stillness, you get outside in nature, you practice silence. These are all the things that's going to aid to you staying younger, and it's going to slow down that aging process that many people have endured. The reason why these things are important is because you cannot outtrain a nervous system that is fried. Now, another thing that we need to make sure that we understand is that our mind and our emotions, they age as well. And people, they don't just age from years. They age from mental weight, holding resentment, living in regret, having constant comparisons and never slowing down. These are the things that's going to create that aging process to just go rapid, like Sonic the Hedgehog. And mental rigidity, it ages faster than the body. It really does. If you want to stay young, stay curious. Stay curious and laugh often and, learn continuously. Learn continuously and make sure that you forgive quickly. Forgive quickly and let go regularly. Just let go, Emotional flexibility, this is going to equal to your longevity. Emotional flexibility is going to equal to your longevity. So let's get into the habit of practicing this on a daily basis, okay? Now, another thing is spiritual aging, and this is something that nobody talks about, spiritually aging. And people, they age the fastest when they're disconnected from their meaning, their source, their essence of being alive. People are going to age when they lose purpose, because your purpose, it keeps you youthful. It gives you a reason to keep existing, to be the best in this life. And it also helps you understand that the community that you're around and the people that you're around, these are the things that's going to keep you grounded. It's going to get rid of that ego. It's going to challenge your ego. And when you do things that serve other people, that's outside of you, that's so-called bigger than you, this is what's going to help you stay alive much longer and add to that longevity, because service, it keeps you alive. It keeps you alive. And the people who live the longest, they feel needed, they feel connected, they feel rooted. Longevity, it's not isolation, it's belonging. When we add to that, let's think about a realistic daily anti-aging routine that we can get into. And I want to set up a framework for you, and I believe this can work for anybody, but you can adjust it to your schedule. So we need to make sure that we're doing this daily, okay? And I want you to write these down if you have the time. Please write these down if you have the time, or come back to this video and just rewatch this. But I would implore you to write this down. So every single day, I want you to have a morning light exposure. Get yourself out in some nature, get some sunlight, get some moonlight. I know some people work different shifts, but get some light every single day. Make that a daily effort. Get some light, okay? Next thing I want to make sure that we're doing daily is to walk. I want us to walk for at least 20 to 30 minutes a day. Please, walk 20 to 30 minutes a day. And if, make sure this is something that we're consistently doing. If you don't want to go outside, at least do it in your backyard, or, do it in your basement, do it in your garage, or do it in your room. Do it, just make sure you're walking. But I would suggest doing it outside, okay? And the next thing I want us to do is make sure that we're focused on 5 minutes of stillness. Give yourself a chance to just calm down. Bring it in. Bring it in. 5 minutes of stillness. Don't move. Relax. Sit down. And likely that 5 minutes will turn into 10, 15, or 20, but that's okay. But allow yourself to get into a moment of where you can just sit still. Okay? Minimum 5 minutes, but if it's needed to go longer, I implore you to go longer, because it's only going to benefit to your overall well-being, okay? So another thing that we need to make sure that we're doing is that we're having a consistent sleep time. We need to make sure that we're having sleep on a consistent basis, and let's make sure it's on a schedule where our body is in a routine, and we can make sure that we're getting enough sleep, that we're getting these dreams, and that we're ready for the next day. If you're tired, you deserve that rest. And I get it. Sometimes you just, you want to grind and get to the paper. You want to just make sure you can accomplish your goals. But that's important. But your health and the way that you're going to continue to pursue the things that you love, that's important as well. You have to make sure you prioritize that. So get that sleep. Everyone's body is different. And so at times you probably won't need as much sleep as the next person. So make sure that you aren't feeling drained, that you're feeling energized, and that you're consistently doing things that's adding to the workday in a beneficial way versus taking away in a way that's going to, take away from the overall purpose. So, and the next thing I want us to make sure that we're doing daily is staying hydrated. Let's make sure we're staying hydrated. Make sure that we're, getting the proper amount of water intake, at least a gallon of water a day. And I know that may take some time to get up there, but make sure that you're hydrated and make sure that you're consistently drinking. If you're going to the restroom and you notice that your urine is yellow, make sure that you're adding more nurturing meals in your diet, and make sure that you're adding more water and nutritional things that's going to up your water intake in the natural way. Make sure you're eating, fruits and things that's going to add to your water content, okay? And I understand some people don't like to drink a gallon of water. That's fine. At least add water into your body because it helps push all the waste out. But make sure that you're also getting a lot of your water from fruits, because that's going to change it to H3O, and that's what your body's going to be readily to absorb. Okay, it's going to be able to take those nutrients and it's going to hydrate your cells, and that's how it will stay within your body, but also you'll get the benefits of, you know, taking in that fruit juice. So there's many different ways you can take in water, but make sure you're doing that on a consistent basis every single day, okay? Another thing that I want y'all to do weekly. So we just went over the daily routine. Now I want to go over a weekly routine that's going to benefit everyone. We need to make sure that we're strength training 3 times a week. At least strength training 3 times a week. You know, keeping those muscles strong, keeping those muscles tight. Because as we age and as we go through this life, you know, things start to get loosened up. You know, we have to make sure that we're staying on top of it. You know, you don't want to wait until it's, you know, you're in this pain. You know, you want to make sure you're being preventative. You know, we already know we're growing and we're getting, you know, we're aging. So if we're knowing we're doing that, let's make sure we're preparing our body for the oncoming things that it's going to endure, okay? And we've already seen people who've experienced it, maybe some loved ones or just people we've seen in life. We've seen as they grow older, things start to wear down and break down. So if we already know that, wouldn't it be beneficial to prepare for that so we don't have to be in pain and we don't have to deal with all these aches and all these things that are uncomfortable? Doesn't that make sense? So I'm just saying all these things will be extremely beneficial to you. So let's make sure we're strength training at least 3 times a week. Let's make sure we're getting mobile, we're stretching, we're doing Tai Chi at least 2 times a week. Make sure that we're practicing and stretching at least 2 times a week. And you can do it for 10 minutes. You can do it for 10 minutes. 10 minutes 2 times a week, that's 20 minutes a week. Come on, man. Like, there's no excuse. 20 minutes a week? You waste time scrolling on the phone. You waste time scrolling on the phone. You can stretch 2 times a week for 10 minutes a piece. Like, come on. Like, no excuse. Let's get out there and stretch. So, and another thing we need to make sure that we're doing weekly is that we're making one meaningful connection. We're staying connected to the people that we love or the people that we aspire to be alike, or the people that we just want around in our circles. You know, make one meaningful social connection with someone out there.